right, welcome Wapplers from around the world. This is our August 2025 Wappler Meetup. We meet on the second Friday of every month at 4 p.m. Belgian time. And we're very glad you joined us today or watching the video on YouTube. And today we're talking about Wappler documentation and what the ideal documentation might look like. And I'm going to turn this over immediately to Jim to kick us off.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
The two things I would like to see is, I think the documentation we have when they submit those initial items, if we could attach versions to it. So we have, what Theodore delivers to us and gives us, and then also have that this was delivered at this date for this version, so that you can know what you're looking at back forth and whether it moves forward, which we all know most of it does for many versions, but as things change, then we can adapt that page to the next version that it is really affected. And the other thing I'd like to see, if we could somehow take the chat pieces and the conversation of the community, have it attached to that tutorial, but have that separately, so that if the user is looking for something, he's kind of just going to that ebook that all these people have talked about, but these are the tutorials, these are the pieces, and this is what the instructions are. And then if you want to know what other people thought, you click another button and you can see 32,000 comments. Because I find when I'm searching something, you end up searching for a keyword or two, but then you get comments from other areas and you're sorting through all that. Versus if I could just look at the tutorials or the documentation and just search keywords in that world, and then go ahead and search in a community conversation, I think those would be two beneficial sorting and selecting and filtering diagnosis.
I think that's a very awesome input, Jim. I love your first idea about date and versioning of the docs, and then revisions as well. It was originally created in 2017 and was updated in 2021 or whatever. I think that's awesome, and I think that would be relatively simple to do. Do you have any ideas on how to implement the keywords into the between the chat and the docs?
Yeah, can I just ask this question first? I mean, the versioning is something I've already looked at with the service that I'm proposing to launch, so that is important. Regarding the discussions, are we talking about just the discussion that is attached to the docs? So if you go into the Wappler docs, you pick your topic, you see the topic. Are we talking about looking at just the comments on that particular section, or are we talking globally right across the forum?
Well, I think if you're searching the community and the discussions, I think that's a global for all discussions. But I know the user, I'm going to say but the user knows what they're looking for over there and what they could get. Versus if I just want to find out how to implement XYZ, I want to be able to just go to the docs and see what the docs say first.
Yeah. You do know that you can link from the docs directly into the forum post.
If you could put, here, I want to comment on this, but that comment goes over to another. So the fuzzy search you're not looking at the same, you're looking at the community discussions and you're looking at the docs. Yeah. Two different.
Now, if I actually explain how that works, Jim, because it's the docs are actually the first post in a forum post, which has been tagged as a doc. So anything in a docs category. And if you go into the Wappler docs section and look at any document, up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see discuss. And if you click on that discuss, that will take you to the full post on the forum with all the discussion following it.
I'm with you. I get that. What the problem, I understand that process, but the problem is if you put into the search, fuzzy search, you're going to get other community discussions about that, where I first want to just see the doc. and I don't see the doc first, or I don't see those items. I may see more recent conversations in the discussion board that happen to have that word in it or have that in there.
Do you ever add the hashtag for the docs category in your search? Very badly documented this. If you, let's say, if you were to type in modal, that's going to come up everywhere in the search bar. You'll get hundreds of hits. If you put in modal #docs, it will only search within those document category. So you can actually refine the search down. It's quite significantly.
I'm
I
done.
found
I'm
that
good
3 days ago. Jim,
I'm
I
done. I'm
literally
good for
found that
today.
3 days ago.
Learned a great lesson there.
No, you're right. I found it by accident. I was just sort of browsing through and thought, hang on a minute, why is that put #docs on the end of it? And I realized that actually you can filter your search to any set of groups by putting hashtag and then the group name, and it will only search within those groups.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
But
Okay.
So
Well,
I would have
as
said,
long as
yes,
you're
that's a
going
problem
forward,
3 days
you know
ago.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, there's no documentation. I've actually spent quite a bit of time recently looking at the discourse documentation itself to get a better understanding of how it works and how it doesn't work. Because I think what you've just said there highlights a problem that I've sort of identified. There is so much on that forum now, it is becoming increasingly difficult to find the relevant points.
right.
Even sometimes I cannot find posts that I knew I wrote, and it can take me 10 minutes to find a post
Yeah.
that I knew I wrote because I just don't
Yeah.
happen to have the right search terms. So it can be problematic, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a sidebar for a second and change the subject to ask a question first, then come back to this because Jim, I think you got a really good idea here. Um, what and I saw something on the forum the other day, 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, about new or updated docs. What uh, are the docs we're talking about on the
Yeah, there is the old docs and the new docs,
right?
and there was still some links to the old docs.
So
If I can
so
explain how it works, basically, your docs is just a filtered forum. The docs are all of the forum. The first post on the forum posts which have been categorized in the class docs. So it's really just an interface to what's already there. They are the same document, one and the same.
okay, so the and you find the docs at docs.wappler.io.
Yes.
Okay, and those are the official docs. There's only one.
Yeah. And I say the easiest way to find them is just go to the Wappler.io website. There's a link to the docs from
Right.
there. So that's probably the best way, making sure you go to the right place.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that in mind, we have a huge library of documents that were created since the beginning of Wappler. And
About 65,000 posts gone onto that.
okay,
So not all of them are live. A lot of them now have been removed. A lot of them were spam posts, but you're still talking about tens of thousands of posts.
yeah, I think 30,000 of them were written by Brian. Um, the but and I'm not exactly sure how to do this. I'm going back to Jim's idea about tagging the community conversation with the docs.
Yeah, it's perhaps a good point for me to jump in there and just explain what I'm looking at, which sort of turns things on its head a little bit. I'm a pragmatist, not an idealist. I think being idealistic would be, oh, the Wappler team could make us some wonderful new docs and update the docs. I think we all know in reality that's not going to happen. It's a three-man team. They're not going to pay somebody to come in and do it in a hurry. They are concentrating on the product and documents. They produce documentation when they first release a new component, for example. they don't touch them again after that. They're reliant on us as a community to either update them, add extra posts onto them to explain changes, etc. So my idea was, well, if we're already doing that, why not just formalize it a little and look at how we can best, as a community, come up with a effective doc system, which is what I'm looking at now, which basically involves pulling the information out of Wappler in their form, tidying a big tidy up, allowing us to extend it extensively to have Wappler information and, if necessary, non-Wappler information, perhaps JavaScript tutorials or whatever, to produce a complete documentation portal for Wappler. The original idea was an ebook. Thought about it. Don't think an ebook will work. Two reasons. One is it's updated too often. It will be, it's got to be a virtually a real-time project. And secondly is that there will be costs involved. There'll have to be some sort of subscription charge eventually to cover, even if it's just server costs, AI costs, you name it. And piracy, if you release it as an ebook, is going to be just a massive, massive issue. So, I mean, if you want me to just quickly run through a very, 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 very alpha demo of what I'm currently doing and the idea of what I'm doing, I'd be happy to do that. Or if you want to carry on the discussion, it's a matter for yourselves.
That would
I'd
be
like,
awesome, Ken.
yeah, I'd like to see what you've got so that, I mean, you knew like the docs and that kind of stuff. Let us see where you're headed and where your head's
Yeah.
at. They know you've done this, so I just assume or appreciate just seeing what process you're at. And
All I'll say is please remember this is literally that there was nothing in this 4 days ago. So this is incredibly early. It's a concept rather than a live system. Do I have the authority to screen share at the moment?
Stand by.
I thought it'd be nice if maybe the documents were in alphabetical order.
Well, I've got
That's like useful. I don't know how many times I'm looking through the docs, like, why don't you just put this in alphabetical some order? We're just like, I gotta look at everything.
yeah. Well, I'm sort of looking to have it a little bit more sophisticated than that.
What would be a start at this point?
we're simple over here. We're simple on this side of the pond. ABCs just are good for us.
Before you launch that, Brian, just one thought. Do you think it's viable that the Wappler software could have a little question mark link or something that would then take you directly to the relevant part of the system you're building?
I'm quite sure it would if the team are happy with it. I mean, that's a decision there. Remember about a year ago, we did talk about the community-driven help prompts. Never seemed to come anywhere. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this would be totally open to the team. I'll give them access to the source code. I'll give them access to the servers. I could drop down dead tomorrow, So we've got to do that. GitHub repositories, so they've got total access to it. And if needs be, if something went wrong, they could take control of it. But whether they want to link themselves to the service it's a decision for them, not for me. Have I got sharing ability yet?
I made you a co-host.
Right, hold on a moment. Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
Did it work?
Oh,
There
we go. All right.
All right, hold on a minute.
Brian.
Well, what on earth's happening here? That's not an up-to-date one anyway. Right. Probably if I start with a tree view, that's give you an idea of how I'm looking to structure things. Tree view comes from up here, opens a sidebar, and we'll see. Would that be better in light mode rather than dark? It's a bit dark, that, isn't it? Give me a second. I'll just move that.
That's better.
Light. Yeah. Right. So we start with a tree view. So there's only stuff in the app connect tree at the minute. We can browse down through that tree. We can go into components. We can go through the different components and we can select them from there as and how we want to do. And if we need to, we can just simply click through, and that should, come on. Give me a sec. I'm just checking that the server has installed. Yeah, for some bizarre reason that hasn't worked. It was working 10 minutes ago. Let's try that again. Oh, except it'll have no content in. Let's have a look at the modal. There we are to content. Should be an edit button up here. I haven't put that in yet. And that is a modal. Now, what I've done is I've written some custom scripts, which allows me to be able to just put the ID of a post within the forum. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If we look at any forum post, at the end you will see a number. So you've got 64015 stroke 21 is 21 posts within it. And from that number, I can pull any post from the existing forum, bring its text in, just the same way the docs does, just the first entry. It actually does a lot of imagery processing, because the structure at which that comes in at the moment from the forum is pretty horrible. But we do, even though this is written in the Summernote, done by the Summernote region, I've got another little script that allows us to be able to effectively do an imitation lightbox on the post. So you need lots of navigation sorted out. So that's the basics. And say we've got the book structure. This is the editor mode. So what I'm talking about is how people who want to get involved in the project, if they do, would be able to manage content. So I can drill down into the book. Let's go into reconnect. Let's go into components. Let's go into the components group. And we get a list, and they are empty containers at the minute I've created. Some of them I put a little bit of test content in, and we see a number of icons along the top here. That would be to move a particular section up a level. So if you want, or down a level, so you can move it within the actual document tree structure. Edit mode, edit history, so we know exactly what people have done within that edit mode. We can view it. Pull from forum. If I want to pull stuff from the forum, I literally just put the ID in there. It will pull it. So the idea was initially to do a quick build of this by importing the forum information as it is. And then from there on, it can be revised, edited, and changed to improve it. And yes, I will be putting, it isn't in there at the minute, but every time that edit is done, there'll be a mandatory requirement to be able to put the version of Wappler in which that was created, particularly for not just content, but also imagery, because a lot of people get confused when the imagery is wrong. So we'll be looking at updating the images where necessary. And I've been looking at different ways of being able to manage that. So that's the basic idea, looking at it at a collaborative level. Every time a piece of information is edited in any way, it creates a task. Within those tasks, you can actually see who's got that task at the time, and also you can see its full edit history. And this will extend to ability a full task management system. So at the end of the day, if a person creates content, then there will be a task to another editor come out who will be responsible for just doing a quick review of it to make sure that that's correct before it's released properly into the wild, with a view to basically as a community just producing a up-to-date manageable system for that. To say this is very early days at the moment, obviously. What else? No, I'll leave it there for the minute because I'm, let's not go into speculation as to what we may or may not do. But that's the bare bones of it. So I'm looking at a collaborative community project to be able to produce updated documents by using the original documents that are there as a base reference to get something up and running quickly, probably 4 weeks. And then from that point on, those who are involved in the project can then access that information, clean it up, tidy it up, or whatever. And that's where I am at the minute.
I think that's superb. Absolutely superb. Have anyone in the Wappler team seen it yet?
They haven't seen it. I have just obviously before I even mooted this, I contacted the Wappler team. They seem to be happy with it. I'll not go into detail, but there's a few things I've suggested we might even be able to do to help it along. So yeah, they seem to be happy with that, which is I'm pleased with, because I did moot the idea about 12 months ago, and at that point it was fairly negative about it. And I can understand why they want to keep control of it, because they don't basically they wouldn't want me to produce this big doc system and then to either A, try to hold them to ransom, or B, finally be kill the cop, which is why right from day one, I will give them full access to the system, and perhaps to a couple of other developers as well. Just so that if something does happen, whether I'm ill or just, throw my toys out the pram and walk away, it will not cripple the project. Somebody else can pick it up.
Okay, she disappear off and use Microsoft front page.
Oh yeah, hey, I used to love that. Not.
You're with your new physique, you're going to be picked up by the movie studios or something, and you'll be parading around the country.
I'm going to be the next James Bond.
There you go.
He's gonna be on the beach with some models.
That's the job. Actually, bless my wife's always also on heavy diet. She's got a similar sort of weight loss, so she's looking fitter by the day as well. So it's a very happy household.
Awesome. I think what you've outlined there, Brian, sounds really excellent. I have two thoughts to consider.
Please.
First off, this was inspired by Jim. When people post on the forum, they've got a problem. They may or may not have searched the docs or the forum, or maybe searched the forum and couldn't find anything. Would it make sense before you post on the forum to go to you use the modal as an example? I'm having a problem with the modal, to go to the modal docs and then post from there, so that when I've got a problem with the modal, I do a post that I start for the modal docs, and that link is in my post. So if whatever the solution comes up to be, Ben comes up with the solution in my post, and that winds up attached to the docs.
Yeah. Nice idea, Mark. That's why I don't want to sound negative, because it is a good idea that if people can cross-reference. Do you think people would do that now?
At
the end of the day, it's difficult enough to get a lot of people just to tell you what their problem is, rather than having to be able to link through docs or to docs when asking a question.
Well, before you ask, before you ask a question, I was taught by you guys, the first thing you do is search the docs, and then if the docs don't have the answer, or the question is similar to but not exactly. Other than that, I don't see a way you can connect the community comments to the docs unless you start with the docs.
Yeah, I mean, I may be wrong, but I get the impression that most people just use the forum rather than the docs anyway, because everything is there in the forum. That say the docs is just a sort of restricted view of the forum posts. But I say the problem is now that there's so much information, and probably about 75% of it is actually pretty irrelevant, because it's posted about problems that have been fixed, or posted about how to do things that actually there's now an official way of doing it. And there's a huge filtering exercise to be done there, which is ultimately kicking the can down the road is something that, this project's going to have to go through. It's actually going to have to probably check every post in the system.
Sometimes I find myself just dropping back to Google and just doing the dang Google search, and then it finding where I needed to be. I do that all the time.
Yeah, Google is picking up on Wappler forum quite well now. Yeah.
But by using, I would say Jim's idea again by having the date, the version over time. 5 years from now, we're on version 12 or 13, whatever it is. All the information we're going to be looking for is going to have a date and a version.
Yeah. Well, that's my plan, but not only just for the version. The version should also be part of the editor function, in terms of when version comes up, version 8, let's say, comes out, there will be certain changes, and it will be necessary for the reviewers to actually go through those posts through tags, because I'll be looking to probably put the Tagify type system in for that, to be identify which screenshots and which bits of information needs update. It's generally not the information. The workflow doesn't change massively in a lot of cases, but the imagery, the interface, particularly recently, has changed massively, and this does confuse people.
All right, but the other thought that I had was, if we're going to, if the team decides to make this a community project, we have community editors. I can see the creating the first post on a new way to manage a modal or whatever, but then when it's updated 6 months from now, and then 7 or 8 months for whatever, if you're doing if you're editing multiple subjects, I could see how that could become very burdensome for the editors and burn out the Wappler volunteer.
Yeah, it is going to be quite an onerous project, without doubt. I don't have all the answers to that at the end of the day. I'm not averse to writing agents to try and automate as much as possible. But at the moment, it's difficult to predict whether we could maybe have an image core where a lot of the imagery is pulled from a central core repository. So the images, update one image, update all images for some of the main functionality. But it's a bit early days for that one. But yeah, it's very, very valid comment, Mark. Yeah.
What do you think about a leaderboard, scoring points for creating a post and points for editing a post, and get a competition set up between Wapplers?
Is this within the system I'm proposing, or within
in the system you're proposing?
It'll basically be there, because everything is audit trailed. So I'm already planning on, when you go in as an edit into the dashboard, there'll be lots and lots of graphs as to how many posts are there, how many are completed, how many are still in action, how many being created by who's edited the most. I'm going to pull all of that information from the audit trail.
Okay. Well, I'm talking more than the information, creating a competitive environment. There's a certain amount of Wapplers out there who are reselling their services, and that would be a way to prove competency. If you're on the, like you'd be on the leaderboard, for example.
Well, it's easy enough to produce a leaderboard. The data's there, and the bottom line is,
right.
If the data is there, you can produce the interpretations. Yeah, sorry.
You already have a leaderboard. If you go onto the Wappler forum itself and click the hamburger menu.
Yeah, get that, cheese. What Mark was talking about is adding that similar functionality into the system I'm proposing.
Okay.
Trying to encourage people to come in, do some work on it, and go, look, I'm the best editor this month. Did I pick that up right, Mark?
Exactly, and even more than the mechanics of it is part of the changing the culture of the community to be involved.
I think maybe there needs to be a change on the forum itself, to go with if it's a request for help and assistance, then it should be similar to a bug report, where you select the version that you're running, and then you create your help. Sorry, my budgets are going crazy. The same with a bug report. When you create a bug report, you put your version in, your server architecture, etc., etc. I think if you're requesting help in the future, there needs to be a fundamental change on the forum,
and people need to begin to add the version of Wappler they're using, the server architecture, and then that narrows it down immediately at the beginning of the post.
Yep.
And
I do see a problem with that, Cheese. That is simply because what we could end up doing is spending a lot of time as contributors on the forum solving problems where the real problem is just upgrade.
Yeah, I agree entirely, 100%. This backtracking and supporting every single version.
Yeah, I think at some point you've got to say, possibly we'll support up to the previous version and no more, because a lot of things that people have with older versions are because they haven't upgraded.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree.
So perhaps we can go the other way and say you don't get support unless you're using the latest version.
Something has to fundamentally change in the way support is driven, because it's just, as everybody knows who is here present at the moment, it is a mess.
Oh, yeah.
And we've all written the same thing 100 times in 100 different ways, and we'll do the same again next week.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd have to speak with the team as to whether they'd be happy with this. But if we can get a doc system like this built and it's effective, then perhaps the answer to a lot of these questions would simply be a link to the doc system. So when they ask, how do I do this? Instead of going to the trouble of explaining it, you just drop a link in to say, it's here.
Yeah, and I think everybody has to be on the same page with that.
Well, I mean, the downside is that we probably will have to have a look at making it a subscription service, albeit to cover costs, depending on numbers, I'd be talking about, 50 cents a month, 50 cents a week or thereabouts, but obviously the on costs have got to be covered, which means not everybody will have access to it. It's a good way of driving people towards it, though, if we wanted to do that. Or maybe the Wappler team ultimately would decide to maybe incorporate the subscription price into the Wappler subscription and just give everybody access to it. But again, that's a matter for them that they would have to think about.
What database have you put this on?
It's running on MySQL database, running on a dedicated VPS.
Okay. In your editing process and what you're doing, I'm sure you've got it there, but how do you foresee final approval? So you've got a document, you put it out there and says, okay, I need these 5 images. I get those images. I say I'm done with the task.
Yeah, that's why the task would then go before any task would go from edit to final. It would have to go through a second taskmaster. So the editor would submit it. That would then go to a reviewer. The reviewer would then review that before it is either released or referred back to the the original editor for changes or whatever, or discussion about changes. Bear in mind, nobody's in charge of anybody, so it all has to be by collaboration.
Right.
So which is why I've gone for the task-based system.
Has the team looked? I mean, could they be the final approver, just to review just the document and go through that?
Lovely if they would, but again, back to being my pragmatic. Are they going to take the time to do that? No.
I hear you.
It would save them in the long run, because it would reduce the number of posts of why isn't this working? Because if the document's there, do you know what I mean?
It would be brilliant if someone like Theodore would review every document.
Initially, there'll be a surge, but you would hope.
Yeah. Well, initially the system will be his docs. That's basically when I release in about 4 weeks' time, sort of a version 1 alpha or beta, it will be basically populated with the docs from the original forum. That's the baseline. And then from there, the community project would be to improve, enhance. Give us a sweetie.
Do you foresee like your tutorials go through certain sections in that? Do you foresee being able to link the documents to those things for Ben and you guys going forward, that you'd have that link, you know?
But to the video tutorials.
Yeah,
Ultimate goal would be to have a video tutorial on every item that requires it. Because if you're doing them, I mean, Ben's very much doing it now. I did for a little while with the short bites or quick bites or whatever I called them. 2 minute videos thereabouts, very focused on a single individual item, and you can actually rattle them off quite quick. So yeah, what I would like to see ultimately is a video and some demo code. Now I'm undecided whether to actually have the code live so they can refer to a page and see the code running, or whether to provide the code in a form of a zip file or whatever so they can download it. Because a lot of the bugs or problems that I've experienced with doing the tutorials, so many people have said, this doesn't work, what's the problem? And it's a typo, or they haven't read the tutorial first.
Right.
If we can just drop them a zip file with the actual code in, then if they need to, they can have a look at the original and they can compare that. It'd be nice to be able to get it up and running, but the problem is that you cannot dynamically inject App Connect code in from a dynamic source. It's a security risk. So you would actually have to write each individual page. Now that will happen, because certainly if I was writing a tutorial, I would be building it on screen anyway. I would be taking the imagery from it as I build it. So you actually have the carcass there. It's a case of whether that then gets published as an individual page with then a link from the docs to say, see it working here. And that's for down the line, but that would be an ideal scenario. But certainly the video one, I think it's important to have videos on as much as possible.
Ryan, could I just give a little bit of background information?
Sure.
You showed the Bootstrap modals, what is it, documentation.
Yeah.
Now, the original documentation that was there, presented by Theodore, was very much outdated.
Yes.
And it lacked a lot of features. So I went ahead and changed it, and the document that you showed is the document that I'd written. Now, there are quite a few other documents that I've changed as well. And anybody, I think, can change those documents.
I think it has to be, I think it's ambassador or admin level to be able to do that. See, I think I'm an admin, you're probably an admin as well. But I don't think any random person can go in and do that.
Okay. But what I mean is that we can change those documents as they are.
Yes, we can. Yes, absolutely.
And it was my idea to go through the documents and change the ones that are desperately lacking because of the version. Things have changed a lot, and it confuses especially the newbies. You know, they see a completely different graphic to what they see on in the program itself. So yeah, anyway, that's my input. Sorry.
I'm just looking, I've just logged in as my alter ego. No, I've just logged in as a standard user, and it doesn't appear that a standard user has the authority to edit the posts.
I don't know, Brian, an alter ego, is that healthy for you? Two personalities?
How many personalities do you think I may have? How many other people on the forum might I actually be?
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's already there.
20,900 are all Brian.
I have a pseudonym that I use in a lot of scenarios, which I do have an identity on the forum under as well. Because I sometimes want to be able to view it as a non-ambassador, non-admin.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I think, Brian, you're headed down a road here that looks very promising. I heard all kinds of positive comments about it. It's a gargantuan task. Um, but I think some of the ideas that we've talked about today, including your ideas of like an image bank, I think is brilliant. And you know, using the date and version number of each of the docs. I think that they're heading in the right direction here. Did anybody else have anything else they wanted to add?
No,
Well,
just a round of applause is basically it for me.
Well, I wanted to apologize to you gentlemen. The last month or so has been quite eventful in our family and extended family. Everything working out well. All the disasters have now been fixed and are being repaired, and we're getting back to normal here starting next month, I hope. Just sometimes I think the saying goes, life happens, and so I should be done for the rest of the year, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for your support. This has been valuable. I'm going to summarize this in conversation. I'm going to send it over to the team and just let them know what we're thinking and where we're coming from. And then we'll take it from there. So keep an eye out on the forum. If you guys have any suggestions of somebody who would like to present on a particular topic, if we had, to make these meetups really work all year long, we need 12 people to stand up and say, I'm going to do June, I'll do August next year or whatever. And
yeah, people are getting sick of the sound of my voice. I think I've done the last 3 months, but I need a break.
maybe you should do your alter ego next time. It's bad, Brian. It's not good, Brian. All right. Well, gentlemen, I hope you all have a very safe and prosperous rest of your day and a relaxful weekend. And I look forward to catching up on the forum and with you as the month goes on, and we'll start moving forward towards September.
All right.
All right. You guys be well. We'll talk soon.
Thanks
Sounds
all.
good.
Bye all.
Thank
Well
you.
done again, Brian.
Yep.
Thank you.
Fine.
Has the recording stopped?